Welcome back to 30 at 6. And don't forget, there's always something to watch on 30 at 6. Tonight we have original music by James Sampson, and he'll be interviewed by Shane Ballinger. That's coming up. But right now, another musician, Greg Shelton, going to talk to us about a European-style Christmas market in Chesapeake City. Welcome to 30 at 6, Greg.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell us about what's going on this Saturday.
Absolutely. So this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., my wife Dawn and I are bringing our European-style Christmas market that we created on our property for the last 2 years. It's actually coming to Chesapeake City in Pell Gardens, and we're going to be taking over that part of Chesapeake City with a European-inspired market that you would see in the city of Kiev or in places in Russia or London. And it's really meant to be an outdoor market. If you don't like the cold, it might not be the thing that for you. But again, really what we're trying to instill is all handmade products, and every artisan that will be there, and there's going to be probably 35 to 45 artisans that are actually in tents, that are making their own products, that are selling them face to face with you. So the things that you buy there are things that you know someone made.
Right.
That's the idea of the market. And if you went to other countries, that's what you would expect, and that's what you would actually receive.
Real gifts made by real people.
Correct. Absolutely.
That's awesome. And that's this Saturday, Pell Gardens.
Correct.
What's the time frame on that, Greg?
So it will start at 10 a.m. That's when it opens. It'll close at 7, and it's meant to be an event that kind of touches into the nighttime, which, again, Christmas lights and that kind of thing. It's a special time for Christmas.
That sounds great. And there's going to be more than just products there, right?
Correct. So we're looking around 35 handmade artisans. But in that artistry, for me as a foodie, I know a lot of people are actually foodies. It's never been bigger than now. I look at food as art, and I look at food as gifts. So we might have different people making products, but we also have a little small specialty market in there. So we're having a butcher team from Aberdeen, Maryland, Bowman's Butcher Shop, which I think is a 3rd to 4th generation butcher shop. So
yes.
So you could come there and actually buy your Christmas Eve dinner. So we're going to have a mushroom farm. Medina Mushrooms will be there. We also have a farm bringing farm vegetables there. We have a chocolatier from Westchester. We have a company that makes cheese, and these are the kind of the staples of what you would get in other countries. And again, that's just the things that you can buy to populate an actual dinner for yourselves or your family.
That sounds great. You could eat it for your Christmas dinner or whatever, or put it in a stocking if it's not perishable.
Absolutely.
Or eat it right there on the spot.
It doesn't matter. The exciting thing is, a normal market is really shopping and eating, and we've got those boxes checked like incredibly. But to always amplify the experience, which I'm a big fan of doing, there's a big performance base for this too. So if anyone who's familiar with Chesapeake City and Pell Gardens, is they have a beautiful amphitheater down there, and we're having 4 performances there. So we have recording artists by the name of Hotsy Totsy from New Jersey, the 3 young ladies who have several records out, and their theme is kind of the Andrews Sisters kind of 40s, 50s, 60s style.
Right.
So their harmonizing is amazing. We also have a Chesapeake City local by the name of Zach Lockwood. He's a classically trained performer, so he's almost bringing an operatic style to the performance. We have Olivia Long, who's a singer-songwriter from Chesapeake City. And then we have a chef by the name of Walter Staib, who has a show on PBS called A Taste of History. He owns the City Tavern in Philadelphia, and his show is an Emmy award-winning show. And I ran into him in Philly at his restaurant, and I invited him down to our home last year. And again, he has a TV show, and he basically, we gave him a tent, and he signed all of his cookbooks for a lot of the people that came there. And we probably had 30 people who actually brought their cookbook just to get it signed. And I'm happy to say he's coming down to Chesapeake City with us.
Any idea what he'll be cooking up for us?
So he's not going to be cooking, and I'll get to that in a second. But I would say that we've created a segment, much like we're doing here, for all the foodies out there. So probably, I think it's around 11 o'clock, Chef Staib is going to be on stage with several of the chefs from Chesapeake City restaurants,
right.
with a gentleman by the name of Hugo Immediato, from the Three Little Bakers fame, if everyone
Right,
knows
sure.
that. Hugo is the uncle of my wife, Dawn, and he is not only going to be running all the performances, but he's going to be narrating that segment. So it's going to be Chef Staib is going to be talking with the other chefs about what the Christmas dinner means to him. And he's a German fellow, so he's going to bring something all new.
Awesome. So again, bouncing back to that European style Christmas, I have fond memories of, this is how old I am, of the Three Little Bakers coming to my school when I was a little kid and doing tricks and tumbling and all kinds of
Well, you know what, I would say this, and you mentioned about me being a musician, and probably in the early '90s when I met my wife, I had really long black hair, as all drummers do in the '90s, late '80s, and I'll never forget.
mine were like
I'll never forget. This is the truth. I never forget meeting the family, the Mediato family.
Yeah, right.
I was kind of nervous, and living in Chesapeake City, I really didn't even know, truthfully, what Three Little Bakers was, to be honest. But when I met the family, they were such warm, pleasurable people that accepted me with open arms, and it just goes to show that musician performance blood runs through everyone's veins, and when you meet someone that has a likeness, it's pretty rewarding. And they're special people.
And yes, they are. And
They
I
are.
used to love to go to shows up there at their theater up there in Pike Creek too.
Yes, absolutely.
But you're involved in a Bowie show. Tell our viewers a little bit about this. Maybe we get you to come back as the show gets closer to talk about it.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm a huge Bowie fan, which is kind of what you're alluding to. So I direct and produce a very large show at Union Transfer in Philadelphia. The performance will be on Saturday, January 11th, actually. And as a big fan, when Bowie passed away, as an old musician, I respected him not only just as a drummer and a singer and a recording artist, but I was a big fan of his fashion sense, his acting abilities. Just talk about a Renaissance guy. This guy was the best at it. So I appreciated everything that he did. And when he passed away, it was a major shock to me and all my old band members. So I immediately called the night he passed away. We talked for probably 2 hours about all the things we appreciated about him. And then me as a marketer and as an event guy, I immediately got on the call with the gentleman who ran World Cafe Live at the Queen in Wilmington. And I said, hey, his name was Hal Reel. And I said, Hal, I want a Saturday night to put on an absolute amazing Bowie show. So we were able to get that done. And then we hired a production team by the name of Gable, which is in Wilmington, Delaware. Great guys. And we put on a sold out show there at the Queen. And then we invited some people that were called the Sigma Kids from Philly. They were Bowie knew these people. They basically followed him around different spots.
Right.
He was recording Young Americans, and together with Robert Drake from XPN, we created Philly Loves Bowie, which is a week-long list of 2 to 3 events a night in Philly. And the show is called A Night of Stardust, and that is the closing performance for the whole week.
That's great, and that's a reason to have life after the holidays. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
January
I mean,
is
these
gonna
events are
rock,
very
too.
close together, and it's a little stressful. Especially when you have your experiential guy that cares about the details.
Well, you know what? Maybe Cecil TV will be down there to your European style Christmas.
Love to
Bell
have you.
Gardens, starting when again? This Saturday?
10 a.m. Saturday morning is when it opens.
Till
And it closes
way
at
in
7.
the dark, 7
Yeah.
o'clock.
And I did want to add, beer that Christmas markets are great for shopping, buying gifts for your friends and family, eating great food, watching great performances. We'll have a bagpiper there, which makes sense. We'll usually have some British cars, British motorcycles, but we also have 2 amazing beer gardens. So the Byard
That's very
House.
important.
Yes, absolutely. So it's all local beer. So Bay Heads, we'll have Broken Spoke Winery there. So the wine and beer will be flowing, and there's hot toddies for everybody.
That sounds like a plan.
Nice meeting you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Nice meeting
Appreciate
you.
it.